Happy Friday, everyone. We've had another week of teaching from home or just being home. And I'd like to give you another body mapping tip to keep you comfortable while we are spending so much time at home. Today I'd like to talk about sitting, because I think we're probably all doing more sitting now than we are used to doing. And while it may be really tempting to do your sitting and your working in a very comfortable, kind of squishy, soft couch, it is not the most advantageous way to sit if you're working, if you're looking at a computer or you're playing your instrument. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about balance. We talked last week about head balance, and now we're going to talk about sitting in balance. So when we learned about balancing our head, the reason we wanted to keep our head in this neutral position was so that the weight of the head would be transferred to the spine or borne by the spine. And if we continue that discussion, we're going to learn a little bit about the spine, and then we're going to learn a little bit about delivery of weight. So here's my spine model. It's just a little short little femur there. Get out of the way. And here's the spine. Here's the head piece, where the spine, the head skull should go. And then we have curved vertebrae this way, and then we have the vertebrae where the ribs attach. And then we have the lumbar vertebrae, and those are the big ones here with the bigger discs in between. And then at the base of the spine, we have the fused vertebrae that are the sacrum, or sometimes known as the tailbone. So what we want to try to do is recognize that the weight is distributed throughout the spine and then out through the bones of the pelvis to your surface. So either if you're standing, to the ground, or if you're sitting, the weight will be delivered to the chair. And how do we do that? Well, I'd like to draw your attention to this part of the pelvis. We look at it from the front. Again, here are our little femurs out of the way. These are called the ischial tuberosities, sometimes known as the sit bones. And I'd like you to notice how they fit into the shape of the pelvis, because it's really important that we understand the direction that the sit bones go in and how they can provide a stable resting place for the weight of our body on the chair. So if I get off my chair and I sit my spine in my chair, what I want to do is I want to transfer the weight right through the bones of the spine, right out the bones of the pelvis, and let the ischial tuberosities, or the sit bones, deliver the weight right to the chair. Well, how do we do that? Well, if you've been sitting in your couch, you probably have a little bit more curvature of the upper part of the spine forward, again, weight forward, and you may be feeling some pull in the muscles of your back, or to take it the opposite direction, too much of an arch in your back, you're going to feel some muscles back here. But if we can figure out a way to line that head up through the lumbar spine and right into the sit bones, if I show you this drawing, they should line right up. And when they do that, the chair is taking the weight, and the rest of our body can be free to move. It can be free to move to play our instruments. It can be free to move. We can move our legs. So sitting in balance means we're not leaning against the back of the chair. Sometimes a tip is to make sure that your behind, the muscles of your behind are slightly behind you so that the sit bones can really make contact. If you're leaning forward, you have a little more of your sacrum that's carrying the pressure, and that's not a sustainable position. You're going to feel that. So here is a different version of the spine. This is my little skeleton. I haven't put his legs on so we can really see his pelvis and his sit bones. But what I want to draw your attention to is the curvature of the lumbar spine. Because if we follow that AO and draw a straight line, it should go right through the lumbar spine, which actually curves into the core of your body, into the center of your body. So I don't want you to think about your spine being on the back side of your body, because this portion of the spine is actually in the center of your body. And that's how you're able to line up the AO and the lumbar spine and balance on the sit bones. So here's my sitting skeleton. AO, lumbar, sit bones. So it's very important for those of us that teach music, that may have heard instruction from conductors or directors, to sit up straight. I think it's really important that we think about what we're telling our students when we tell them to sit up straight. Because for most people, they're going to pull themselves up and create tension in other areas of the body in an attempt to go up, when really what we want to do is sit in balance. So if you can follow the concept of lining your AO with your lumbar spine with your sit bones, then you don't have to pull anything up and everything else is just free. Something that you can use to help you get this feeling of sitting in balance is this little contraption that's called a back joy. It's a little rubber contraption. You put it on your chair, and what it really does is it just adjusts your balance so that you're not leaning back in your chair or leaning forward in your chair. And it's a wonderful, easy way to get the feeling for sitting in balance. So that's my tip for the week. Remember, we're not going to sit up straight. We're going to sit in balance. I hope you are all staying healthy and safe, and I'll talk to you next week.